3.5 minutes. The Equalizer. In The Equalizer, Denzel Washington plays one of those really cool guys that you like to work with. You know, he's really positive. Everyone loves him. He works at this Home Depot-ish hardware store. He works hard. He pays his taxes. He has a routine to his life, so you know he's this methodical badass. You know he can end lives well if he needs to. Then Chloe Grace Moretz gets her ass kicked, like pretty ICU-ish, you know, she was in pretty bad shape. He's this nice guy, and you know, he kind of befriended her, you know, she goes to the same diner he goes to, and he's like, all right, got a decision to make. And like our other older badass before him, he has a particular set of skills, and now he's gonna exercise that. So now it's Denzel versus the Russian mob. There you go. And I'm not gonna lie to you, The Equalizer's a pretty straightforward movie. This is gonna be a pretty straightforward review. This is the Denzel show, and Denzel is a badass. He's just really fun to watch. I like roles like this, played by actors like this. He's awesome, he's likable. You know if you tell this guy your secrets, he's not gonna tell anybody. And in the end, if you're a friend of his and someone messes with you, he will mess their shit up. Which is a convenience for this movie. This guy's lived a pretty low-key life. And in the course of 1 week, people just start messing with people in his life, and then he just starts taking them out. You know, you got the Chloe Grace Moretz thing with the mob, and then someone does arson to one of his friends' places, and then someone else gets robbed. All this in the course of, what, a couple days? Never before! But now that you've taken on the mob, now all this weird shit's gonna trickle down. That is a convenience for the movie, and I understand you need conveniences like that to get a movie like this going. Because it's a movie about a mild-mannered guy who used to be a badass in life, who works at a hardware store, who now takes on the Russian mob. You need unbelievable shit to get an unbelievable movie like this flowing. But things like that take me out of the movie for a second. I'm like, that's alright, whatever. Doesn't change the fact that he's good in it. It's just fun to see him kick ass. It really is. He's so good at it and so smart. Like, he's better than anybody could be at this shit because it's Denzel. It's that guy. There's nothing uncool about that guy. The villain in this movie, you can tell he's like a villain that you need to see do bad shit to people for the sake of knowing that, ooh, he's a villain. But sometimes it's conflicting. He's just really calm, collected, methodical guy. And then he like beats a guy's ass pretty much to death. Just with his bare hands, he's just raging out on him. You're like, I guess. I'm not a psychopath. Maybe that's what would happen. The end of this movie it's a weird thing for me because I'm kind of conflicted about it. One part, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And Denzel is still a badass and he's taking dudes out and that's really cool. But it's also Home Alone in Home Depot. It's holy shit. It's Home Alone Depot. That's what it is. And at a point, I was like, wow, this scene is still going. It's the longest scene ever. It seems that way anyway. But the good part is this movie knows what it is. It knows what it wants to do, and it does it. There's no deeper meaning to this movie. It's not some period piece. It's not going for an Oscar. It may be fall, but we're not into Oscar bait season yet. This movie wanted to show a damaged, mild-mannered guy who's trying to live a nice life, have something terrible happen to a friend of his, and now he just takes on everyone. Specifically the Russian mob, because everyone knows Russian mob's bad. If you want baddies and people to believe that they're really bad people without them actually having to do anything to prove it, Russian mob. It was a Denzel show. Denzel was likable. Denzel was a badass. He did badass shit, and I was entertained by the movie. I will say The Equalizer is a good time, no alcohol required. Funny thing though, this movie's directed by the director of Training Day. In this movie, Denzel Washington has a big problem with the Russian mob. In Training Day, Denzel Washington has a big problem with the Russian mob. Maybe this is how it happens. It's like a Training Day prequel. Who knew Alonzo Harris worked at a hardware store? He's like the nice guy dancing and shit. He was all awesome. People loved Alonzo Harris back then. 3.5 minutes. So The Equalizer, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.